The following teaching is possible thanks to the friends and partners of Spirit and Truth Fellowship International.
You know, the Bible gives us many illustrations, practical illustrations that help us in life. And one of those is in Psalm 126. And we really need to understand it in the context of a farming community. And here's what it says in verse 5. Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Okay, I get the part about reaping with songs of joy. Whenever you go out and you reap your harvest, it's always a wonderful, fun time. But what's the Bible talking about when it says those who sow in tears will reap with joy? And this is an illustration that comes out of the farming community and out of everyday life. And so let's talk about it, because it's really about making good decisions. And one of the things that the Bible says that you and I need to do is we need to make good decisions. And there's almost some kind of myth out there that if it's a good decision, it's going to be easy. That you know, good decisions, you can sort out the bad decisions from the good decision, and we're going to make the good decision. But as we get into really, really practically living life, we're going to find that Psalm 126:5 is really much more true than sometimes we might think it is, that we sow in tears and we reap in joy. Well, first, what's it talking about literally? Well, although most of us don't farm, certainly not farm the way they did in the biblical culture, every time a farmer planted, say, wheat in the ground, he had to make a decision. Now, I've got a bowl of wheat seeds here. And here you are, and you're a farmer, and back in the biblical time, they had large families. So let's say it's you and your wife and your elderly parents, and her elderly parents are somewhere, and then you've got, say, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 even children, and obviously they're hungry and they need to eat, and you're getting to where you've been eating grain ever since the last harvest, and now you're getting up to where, boy, it's getting to be late in the season, and your supplies of grain are getting low, and now you've got a tough decision to make. Here you've got your wheat. Okay, what do I do with this? My children are hungry. Do I grind this up and make bread and feed my kids? Or do I tell my kids that they're just going to have to be a little hungry for a few months while we put this in the ground and hope for a harvest? And you can just see the family, and here are these children, and maybe they're not starving, but they're just a little hungry, they're uncomfortable, and they're watching Dad walk out into the field, and he's plowing, and then he's taking what could be their food. They could be eating this. And he's throwing it in the ground, and especially the little kids, you see them kind of on the sideline, and they're crying, "Mom, but I'm kind of hungry." And the dad is saying, guys, we've got to make the tough decision here. I know that we sow in tears, but if we'll just make the sacrifice now, if we'll just make the good decision now, we'll reap in joy. And that is so much of the Christian life, isn't it? Where we so wish that the good decisions would always be easy. But the good decisions aren't always easy, are they? For example, we might need something in our life. My wife and I recently needed a dishwasher. I went kaput, interestingly, over Thanksgiving weekend when everybody in the world was at our house, and all of a sudden our dishwasher isn't working. And you can rush out and borrow money to get a dishwasher right now. Or you can make a better decision, which is I'm going to save up, and I'm going to make sure I have that money, so that when I buy the dishwasher, I can pay for it, and I don't have to worry about then doubling up next month and trying to find some place to cut. If I don't have the money now, why would I have it next month, type of thing. And all you've got to do is read columns like Dear Abby, which comes out in the paper. Sometimes it's Dear Abigail. in various papers where people are writing in and they're asking tough decisions. And it was a few years ago now that there was a man who came into my life and he said, you know, what is required of Christians is to make the next right decision. You know, from that perspective, life becomes pretty simple, doesn't it? Life becomes pretty simple because all God is asking for us to do is make the next right decision. And we need to make a distinction there between simple and easy, because it's simple to make the next right decision. It's not always easy. Why do people lie? You know, people lie all the time. Why do people lie? Because it's easier to lie and hope that the consequences of your actions don't come down upon you than to tell the truth and bear up under the pressure of what it is you've said or done. But is lying the next right decision? No, of course not. We know that. So what the Bible is asking us to do is to make good decisions. And it's going to illustrate that point by saying, look, you might sow in tears, but you're going to reap in joy. Let's take the illustration of lying even. You know, you might say, okay, I'm not going to lie. And there might be consequences for what you did, and it might be very uncomfortable. Just like taking your children's food and putting it in the ground is not comfortable. But man, once you get that, once you get it out and done, there's a freedom in your conscience, a freedom in your life, and not only a feeling of freedom in the relationships around you, but I hope in your relationship with God, there's such a feeling of freedom and purity when we obey God and when we do what He says. So I want to make a point here. I want to emphasize that, you know, the Bible doesn't always say what we do is going to work out. Life is about risk, and realistically, even for the farmer, he could tell his kids, look, kids, just be patient, please, just be patient. I'm going to sow this food in the ground, and you're going to be hungry for a while, but I'm going to reap. Maybe that year he doesn't reap. Maybe that year there's a famine. You know, life does involve risk, and that's part of life. But the fact that there's risk in life shouldn't keep us from making the good decision, even though the good decision is a tough one to make. So what's the Bible telling us to do? Let's face life head on. Let's make the good decision. What God promises, particularly in view of everlasting life, is that if we will sow what is right, we may sow in tears, but God bless us all, we are going to reap in joy. God bless you.